Hi. I guess I'm recording this because I don't really have anyone else to talk to. Not like this, anyway. So, I'll just start from the beginning. My name is Madison, but everyone calls me Maddie. I'm 15 years old, and I live in a small town in Indiana. It's one of those places where everyone knows everyone, and news spreads fast. There's one high school, a Walmart, a couple fast food places, and not much else. I've lived here my whole life. People at school think I have it all together. I'm on the cheer team, I get good grades, well, mostly, and I've always had a solid group of friends. I'm not trying to sound full of myself, but yeah, I'm kind of popular. I was one of those girls who always smiled, made jokes, helped other people with homework. I liked being liked. My parents are, okay. My mom works at a dentist's office and is usually tired when she gets home. She tries her best, but I can tell she's always stressed. My dad works construction, and he's not much of a talker. We're not super close. He's the kind of dad who shows love by fixing your bike, not saying I love you. You know? Then there's Jake. Jake is 17. He's tall, has these green eyes that always made me kind of nervous, and he plays guitar. I met him at a school football game last fall. He wasn't even supposed to be there. His cousin plays for our team, and Jake came to watch. I was cheering that night, and when we locked eyes during halftime, I swear my heart jumped. He came up to me afterward, real casual, and asked if I wanted to grab a soda. I said yes. That's how it started. Jake doesn't go to my school. He goes to a charter school 2 towns over. He's in his senior year, working part-time at an auto shop. The first few times we hung out, I didn't even tell my parents because I knew they wouldn't like the age difference. But it wasn't like he was pressuring me. He was sweet. He'd open doors for me, text me good morning every day, call me beautiful even when I had no makeup on. After a couple months, we started dating for real. And yeah, he was my first. My first kiss. My first real boyfriend. And my first time. We talked about everything. We really did. One night, when things were starting to get serious, I asked him if we needed to use protection. I wasn't on birth control. He looked me straight in the eyes and said, "I'm infertile. I got tested. I can't have kids." I laughed at first, thinking he was joking. But he said no, seriously. That his doctor told him there were issues. He didn't go into details, but I didn't push. Why would I? It's such a weird thing to lie about. I figured, okay, maybe it's safe. So we stopped being careful. Now looking back, I know how stupid that sounds. But when you're in love, and everything feels perfect, you don't expect things to go wrong. You trust the person you're with, especially when it's your first. We kept dating through winter. He gave me a silver bracelet for Christmas. It had a tiny heart on it, and I wore it every day. We'd spend hours in his car parked by the lake just talking about our future. He said he wanted to move to Colorado, that he could work construction or music, and I could go to college. He said we'd figure everything out together. I remember one night, it was snowing, and we were in his car. He put his arm around me and said, "Mads, you're the only girl I've ever wanted something real with." And I believed him. I still do. We were careful about hiding things from my parents. My mom knew about Jake eventually, but she thought we were just friends. My dad never asked. I snuck out sometimes. I know it wasn't right, but I wanted to be with him. Then, around early March, something changed. I started feeling tired all the time. Like, really tired. I was falling asleep in classes, skipping practice, getting these little stomach cramps. I thought maybe it was the flu. But then my period didn't come. At first, I brushed it off. That happens sometimes, right? I was stressed. Finals were coming. I told myself it was just my body being weird. But then it was 2 weeks late. That's when I knew. I didn't tell anyone right away. I was too scared. I went to the drugstore alone, bought a test, and took it at home while my mom was out. When the second line appeared, I just stared at it. I kept blinking, like maybe it would disappear if I looked hard enough. It didn't. I took 2 more tests. Same result. I sat on the floor of my bathroom and cried. I didn't tell Jake for 2 days. I kept thinking, what if he runs? What if he says it's not his? What if he thinks I'm lying? When I finally told him, we were in his car again. I said, Jake, I think I'm pregnant. He went quiet. For a long time. Then he said, Are you sure? I nodded. I showed him the pictures I took of the tests. He looked shocked. He kept saying, But I can't get someone pregnant. That's what the doctor told me. I just looked at him and said, Well, you did. Jake didn't say anything for a long time after I told him. He just sat there staring at the dashboard, his hands gripping the steering wheel. I think he was more shocked than anything else. Finally, he said, I don't get it. I'm not supposed to be able to get someone pregnant. I swear that's what I was told. I was trying not to cry, but my voice was shaking. Well, something obviously changed. He looked at me, and I could see the panic in his eyes. But then, really softly, he said, Okay, we'll figure it out. I'm not going anywhere. Hearing him say that made me feel like I could breathe for a second. I needed to believe that he'd stay, that I wasn't going to be alone. We sat there for another hour, just talking, about what we were going to do, what it meant. He said we had 3 options: abortion, adoption, or keeping the baby. I told him I hadn't made up my mind yet, and honestly, I hadn't. Part of me was numb, part of me wanted to go back in time, and part of me felt something new, something kind of strange, like a spark of connection to this little thing growing inside me. We didn't decide anything that night. I didn't sleep much after that. I'd lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my hand on my stomach, wondering what was happening inside me. I didn't feel like a mom. I felt like a scared kid who had just messed up her entire life. 2 days later, I knew I had to tell someone else. My mom. I waited until she got home from work and sat her down in the kitchen. She was tired, like always. She had her scrubs on, and her hair pulled back. And she was looking at her phone when I said, Mom, I have to tell you something. She looked up and immediately knew something was wrong. What is it? She asked. I was shaking. I'm pregnant. For a moment, everything just stopped. She didn't say a word. She stared at me, like she didn't understand. Like I was speaking another language. Then her eyes filled with tears. Oh my God, she whispered. She dropped her phone onto the table and covered her mouth. Maddie, no, I started crying. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. I didn't. She cut me off. How could this happen? You're 15. I know, I said. I know. She stood up and started pacing. Does he know? Who is he? That boy Jake? I nodded. She sank into the chair. She looked so tired. Not angry, not even shocked anymore, just defeated. Like all the weight in the world had just landed on her shoulders. After a long silence, she said, We'll go to a doctor. We'll figure this out. But Maddie, you have to understand, this changes everything. I couldn't even respond. I just cried. The next day, we went to the clinic. They confirmed I was about 9 weeks along. I saw the tiny flicker of a heartbeat on the screen. It looked like nothing, just a little blob. But it was real. That's when it hit me. There's a person growing inside me. When we got home, my mom said we had to tell my dad. I begged her not to. I said I needed time. She said we couldn't hide something like this. That night at dinner, she told him. He stared at her, then looked at me. His face turned red. I'd never seen him like that. "You're what?" he asked, his voice cold and sharp. "Pregnant, I said, barely loud enough to hear. He stood up so fast his chair fell backward. "You're 15, are you kidding me right now?" "Dad." "You threw your whole damn life away," he shouted. "You think this is some kind of game? You have any idea what you've done?" I started crying again, but he wasn't done. "That boy, he's older. That's illegal. He's not coming near this house again." "He didn't force me," I said quickly. "It wasn't like that." My mom tried to calm him down, but it didn't help. He walked out of the house and didn't come back for hours. When he did, he didn't say a word to me. Just went straight to bed. That night was one of the worst of my life. Jake wanted to come see me, but my mom said no. She said we all needed time. A few days later, his parents called mine. They wanted to meet. We had this super awkward dinner where no one ate, and everyone looked tense. His mom tried to be polite, but she kept asking questions like, "Are you sure it's his?" That made me feel disgusting, like I was being accused of lying. Jake just sat there, holding my hand under the table. His dad said they'd support him, but they weren't happy. He said, "We expect you to take responsibility, Jake, no matter what she decides." After they left, Jake and I sat in my driveway and talked for hours. He said he still wanted to stay together, that he wanted to help raise the baby, that we could do this. I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him. But part of me still wondered, what if he changes his mind later? What if he gets scared and leaves? People say teenage love doesn't last. But I wanted to prove them wrong. I still hadn't told my friends, not even Emily, my best friend. I didn't know how. I didn't want to see that look in her eyes, the pity, or worse, the judgment. But I knew I couldn't hide it forever. Going back to school after I found out I was pregnant was one of the hardest things I've ever done. At first, no one knew. I was only about 10 weeks along, so there was nothing to see. I wore loose hoodies and baggy jeans. I avoided eye contact. I barely spoke. But even if people didn't know, I knew. And it made me feel like I didn't belong anymore. I kept thinking, what if someone finds out? What will they say? What if I lose everything? I told Emily first. She's been my best friend since 6th grade. We've done everything together. Sleepovers, homecoming, all of it. I waited until we were alone, sitting in her room after school. "I need to tell you something," I said. She turned down the music. "Okay, what's up?" I took a deep breath and said, "I'm pregnant." Her eyes went wide. "Wait, what?" "I'm serious," I said. "It's Jake's. I found out a couple weeks ago. My parents know. His parents know." She just stared at me for a second. "You're serious?" I nodded. Then she whispered, "Mads, oh my God." She didn't yell. She didn't freak out. But I could see it in her face. Something had changed. "Are you keeping it?" she asked. "I think so," I said. "I don't know. Jake wants to. I haven't made a final decision, but I don't want to get rid of it." She nodded slowly, then got quiet. The whole mood in the room shifted. After that, she didn't text me as much. She stopped sitting next to me at lunch. I tried not to take it personally, but it hurt. It really hurt. Then people at school started finding out. I'm not sure how. It only takes one whisper. Maybe someone saw me coming out of the nurse's office, aha. Maybe Jake told someone on accident. But it spread fast. By the end of that week, the stares had started. People looked at me differently. Not curious, judging. Some girls in the hallway would laugh quietly when I walked past. Others stopped inviting me to things. One day in the bathroom, I heard two girls from cheer whispering. I heard she did it on purpose to trap him. Yeah, she probably thought it'd make him stay. So gross. They didn't know I was in the stall. I sat there for 5 minutes after they left, just crying into my hoodie sleeve. I stopped going to cheer practice. I couldn't take the way the other girls looked at me. The coach emailed my mom, asking if I was okay. I told her I just needed a break. Some teachers treated me normally, others didn't. One of them, Mr. Collins, started acting like I was some lost cause. He stopped calling on me in class, gave me weird looks when I turned in assignments. Jake was still there, though. Every afternoon, he'd drive over after school and we'd sit in his car, holding hands, talking. Sometimes we didn't even say much. We just sat there. He kept saying, "We'll figure it out." He started looking for second jobs. He even said he might take a gap year after graduation to help out. I could tell he was scared, but he was trying. His friends weren't great about it, though. One of them told him, "Dude, you're ruining your life. You're 17. You've got time. Just walk away." Jake told me that, and I asked him, "Do you want to?" He said, "No. I love you. I love us. I just hate how everyone acts like this baby means we're done, like we can't still be something." It meant the world to hear that. At home, things were tense. My dad still wasn't talking to me much. My mom was doing everything she could. Doctor appointments, vitamins, checking in constantly. But I could see how tired she was. One night, I asked her, "Do you hate me now?" She looked at me like I'd slapped her. "Maddie, no, I don't hate you. I'm scared for you. That's different. I wanted so much more for you." "I still want more," I whispered. "I don't think this is the end." She looked at me for a long time, then pulled me into a hug. "Then fight for that. But know it's gonna be hard." And it was. Some days I wanted to drop out. Others I felt weirdly proud. Like, hey, I'm going through all this and still showing up. Still doing my homework. Still walking through those halls with my head up, even if people whisper. There was one girl, Kaylee, who I barely knew before. She stopped me one day in the hallway and said, "I just wanted to say, you're really brave. I got pregnant last year and didn't keep it. I still think about it all the time. You're not alone." It made me cry right there next to the lockers. But for once, it was the good kind of tears. I started writing in a journal every night, talking to the baby. I'd write things like, "Hey, little one, you're the size of a peach today. Your dad says hi. We're trying our best, I promise." It helped. I knew the hardest parts were still ahead. But I also knew I was stronger than I thought. Not because I had to be, but because I chose to be. I started thinking about baby names, about what kind of mom I wanted to be, and about how, even though this wasn't the life I imagined at 15, it could still be a good life. I was 5.5 months pregnant when I felt the first kick. It was late at night, and I couldn't sleep. Jake had fallen asleep on FaceTime, and I was lying on my side, watching his soft breathing on the screen, when I felt this tiny little flutter, like someone tapping the inside of my belly with the tip of their finger. I I froze. I waited. Then it happened again. Just a little bump, like a secret handshake. And I just started crying. I whispered, "Hi, baby," like they could hear me. "You're really in there, huh?" I wanted to tell someone, so I called my mom into my room. She looked exhausted. It was close to midnight. But when I grabbed her hand and placed it on my stomach, and the baby kicked again, something shifted in her face. She didn't say much, just smiled with glassy eyes and whispered, "Wow." That was the first moment I felt like maybe we were okay, me and her. Dad was a different story. For weeks he'd barely even looked at me. We'd sit at the same dinner table and eat in silence. I tried so many times to say something, but I always chickened out. One Saturday, I couldn't take it anymore. I walked into the garage where he was fixing something under the car. "Dad?" I said. He didn't look up. "Yeah?" "I'm still your daughter." My voice cracked a little. I made a mistake, but I didn't stop being me. He finally looked up. His face was tired and hard, but not angry. "It wasn't just a mistake, Maddie. It was a choice with consequences." "I know," I said. "But I'm taking responsibility. I'm going to finish school. I'm going to raise this baby. And I want you to be part of that. I need you." He stared at me for what felt like forever. Then he wiped his hands on a rag, stood up, and sighed. "I don't know how to do this," he said quietly. "I don't know how to be the father of a girl who's going to be a mom." "Then we'll figure it out together," I said. He pulled me into a hug, the first one in months. I felt his arms around me, tight and warm, and I cried into his shirt like I was 10 years old again. After that, everything slowly started getting better. Jake came to every doctor's appointment. He even bought a little stuffed elephant and said, "First toy for our little Peanut." I laughed and told him, "We need to figure out a real name soon." We talked about baby names all the time. He liked Noah for a boy. I liked Lila for a girl. Our school counselor helped us plan out classes so I could finish remotely after the baby came. She said, "You can still graduate on time. You just need support. And it looks like you've got some." Not everyone at school judged me anymore. Some did, sure, but others surprised me. One teacher, Ms. Grant, started checking in on me every week. She told me, "You're stronger than a lot of adults I know." And Emily, she came around. She showed up one afternoon with a smoothie and said, "I've been a crap friend." I laughed and said, "Yeah, kinda." She hugged me and started crying. I was just scared. I didn't know what to say. "Me neither," I said. "But I still needed you." "I know," she said. "I'm here now, for real." We spent the rest of the afternoon talking, just like old times. She even started helping me plan the baby shower. By the time I hit 34 weeks, I was tired all the time. My feet were swollen, my back ached, and the baby kicked nonstop, especially when I tried to sleep. But every time I felt those tiny thumps, I smiled. This little person was real, and they were almost here. Jake started working part-time at a mechanic's shop. He was saving money for diapers, bottles, clothes, all the baby stuff we never thought about before. He'd come over after work, grease on his hands, and talk to my belly like it could answer. "You better not give your mom too much trouble," he'd say. "She's doing all the hard work." The night my water broke, I wasn't even sure it was my water. I called my mom into the bathroom and she just said, "Yep, it's time." Everything after that was a blur. The ride to the hospital, the nurses, the pain, the pushing. And then, this tiny, crying, beautiful human being in my arms. We named her Lila Grace. She had Jake's nose and my eyes. Her skin was soft and pink, and she had this little wrinkle between her eyebrows like she was already thinking about life. When Jake held her for the first time, he started crying. Not loud, just this silent stream of tears down his cheeks. "I'll protect you forever," he whispered to her. I believed him. The first few weeks were hard. Lila cried at night, I barely slept, and I still had schoolwork to finish. My mom helped a lot. My dad even changed a diaper, after Googling how to do it. But something was different now. We were a family. A complicated, messy, real family. Jake and I weren't perfect. We argued sometimes. We got stressed. But we always came back to each other. I started sharing my story on social media, anonymously at first. Girls started messaging me. Some pregnant, some scared, some just curious. One girl wrote, "You make me feel like I'm not alone." That made it worth it. One day I looked in the mirror. Messy bun, dark circles under my eyes, baby spit up on my hoodie. And I thought, I'm not the same girl I was 6 months ago. I'm stronger, I'm braver, I'm a mom. And that's not the end of my story. It's just the beginning.